Well, love is usually considered to be the most beautiful feeling, but in this case, love has ended in a hesitant marriage. Two physically disabled people, Gayatri and Nagraj, had fallen in love several months back in Bengaluru, but when the time came for marriage, Nagraj beat a hasty retreat. Well, a distressed Gayatri then approached women's rights activists who sprung to her rescue. They launched an investigation and learned that Nagraj was a habitual offender who had cheated many women. Gayatri, along with the activists, tracked down Nagraj and brought him to Chitradurga. A shocked Nagraj remained unwilling to marry Gayatri. The people who had gathered there abused and beat up the groom, forcing him to tie the knot with Gayatri. Let's listen to what Gayatri had to say.
1.5 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್ ನಾವು ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ಮನೇಲಿ ಒಪ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಊರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ಸರ್. ಊರಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಫೋನೇ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. 6 ತಿಂಗಳಾದರೂ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಆಗಸ್ಟ್ ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ಮನೆಗೆ, ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಬಂದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತೀನಿ, ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮಂಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ಕೆ ಅಪ್ಪಾಜಿ, ನಮ್ಮ ಅಪ್ಪಾಜಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಆಯ್ತಪ್ಪ ನಾವು ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಆಯಿತು ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಒಪ್ಪಿಸ್ಬೇಕು ನೀನು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅವ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಾಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಬರ್ತಾರೆ 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 ಅಂತೇಳಿ ತುಂಬ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಮನೆಯವರೆಲ್ಲ ಬೈರು ಸರ್, ಅವ್ರು ಬರಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕೆ ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ತೀಯಾ ಹೋಗಿ, ಹಂಗೆ ಹಿಂಗೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವರು, ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತೇಳಿ ನಾವು ತುಂಬ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ ಸರ್. ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿಗೆ ಡೇಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಅವರು, ಅಪ್ಪ ಅಮ್ಮಂಗೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತೀನಿ. ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿ ಆದರೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮಾರ್ಚ್, ಏಪ್ರಿಲ್, ಮೇ ಇವತ್ತಿನವರೆಗೂ ಆದರೂ ಅವರು ಇಂಥ ಹತ್ರ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದವರು ಇಂಥ ಹತ್ರ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಕಾಯಿನ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆ. ಫೋನ್ ಇದ್ದು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಇವರು. ಅವ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾನೇನು ಅವಳೇನು ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ, ನಾನು ಮದುವೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹಠ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಸರ್. ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಮುಂದುವರೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಮುಂದುವರೆದಿದ್ವಿ ಸರ್. ಊರಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿದೆ ಸರ್.
Well, there we have it. The distressed bride going on to state that she was being cheated by the man she loved, and that for close to 6 months she waited for him to come, but then there was no sign of him, and that is when she decided to seek help. She immediately approached the police officials and the women's rights activists, who jumped to her rescue and tracked down Nagraj. Nagraj then, as per her wish, was forced to tie the knot. Were amusing scenes that were witnessed even as Nagraj hesitantly tied the knot to his longtime girlfriend. People cheered around him, but he clearly was visibly upset over the entire incident. Let's listen to what the groom had to say.
ಅವರ ಒಬ್ಬ ಫ್ರೆಂಡಿಂದ ಪರಿಚಯ ಆಗಿದ್ದವರು. ಸೊ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ಯೋಗ ಪತ್ರ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ರು ಪರಿಚಯ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ರು. ಸೊ ಅದು ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ಅಕ್ಟೋಬರ್ 2ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಅವ್ರು ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು. ಅದಾದಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಟೈಮ್ ಅವ್ರು ಊರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದು. ಅದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು. ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಮನೇಲಿ ಒಪ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ.
ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೆ ಅವರು.
ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆಯವ್ರ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದು.
ಮದುವೆ ಆಗ್ತೀನಿ
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮನೆಯವ್ರು ಒಪ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾನು ಕರ್ಕೊಂಬಂದು ಮದುವೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತಂದೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರು ಅದೊಂದು ಆಪಾದನೆ ಹೇಳಿದಾರೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ತುಂಬ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಿದೆ. ನಾನು ಲೈಂಗಿಕ ಕ್ರಿಯೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಇದು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಸಾಬೀತು ಮಾಡಬಲ್ಲೆ. ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ ಇವಾಗ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಒಂದು ಇದು ಆಪಾದನೆಯಿಂದ. ಅದರಿಂದ ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗಿ ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲ್ ಏನಂದರೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಒಂದು ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಲ್ಲ. ಏನು ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆಯಾ ಫೋನ್ ಕಾಲ್ ವೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಬರೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರ ಜೊತೆಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೆ ಇಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು, ಈ ಥರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಹಿಂಸೆ ಕೊಡೋದು. ಅದರಿಂದ ತುಂಬ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬೇಜಾರಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಸೈಲೆಂಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟೆ.
Well, the Rajasthan Cricket Association has announced the result. It has elected Lalit Modi as its chief. According to a Supreme Court order last week, the elections to the Rajasthan Cricket Association was announced today. The votes in a sealed envelope were to be opened by court-appointed officers who supervised the December 19th elections last year. Lalit Modi is seeking to return as RCA president, but legalities and the Board of Control for Cricket in India's regulations stopped him from seeking a mandate. My colleague Varghese joins us with more details on this. Well, Varghese, good news for Lalit Modi and bad news for the BCCI.
It is. In fact, the BCCI has been one organization that had in fact banned Lalit Modi's return, and now his return as the Rajasthan Cricket Association's chief is very interesting to note. In fact, it was the BCCI and former RCA chief Kishore Rangtha who was vehemently opposing Modi's return into the fold. What happened is, although the BCCI had conceded defeated in the Supreme Court, saying that Modi had won 26 of the 33 votes, the board has been allowed to challenge the controversial Rajasthan Sports Act that enabled Modi to contest from the president's post for the second time. Now, the Supreme Court had also allowed the board, an autonomous body, to take its own action against the RCA. In December, after Modi filed his nomination, the board had threatened to suspend Rajasthan, and in September last year, Modi was banned by the BCCI for the alleged financial wrongdoings. Now, it is very interesting to note that the Supreme Court, in fact, kept track of this, and when the Supreme Court had ordered last week that the Rajasthan Cricket Association election results were to be declared today. Now, the votes were in fact in a sealed envelope and was opened only by court-appointed officers who in fact were also the people who had supervised the December 19 elections last year. And Lalit Modi was seeking this particular return as its president, but it was the laws and bylaws that were framed by the BCCI that actually stopped him on his tracks from returning as a second stint, and also through the RCA into the governing board of the BCCI. So it looks like a comeback for Modi, and it is in fact going to ruffle a lot of feathers in the BCCI, Nishita.
Right, thank you for joining us with all those details there, Varghese. Well, there we have it. It is comeback for Lalit Modi, a man who has been sent away by the BCCI and was banned from from participating in any activity of the Board of Control for Cricket in India, has now been voted back to power in the Rajasthan Cricket Association. And well, 15 days after his return, Ambarish went back into the hospital, giving rise to fresh fears. The Rebel star last night went to the Vikram Hospital in Mysore for a series of health checks. After completing the checks, Ambi came to Bengaluru's Vikram Hospital. He was then admitted to the hospital, but Ambarish, who spoke to the media while entering the hospital, decided to downplay the incident. The doctors too reiterated that Ambarish is hale and hearty and that it is only a regular checkup.
ಕ್ಯಾಟನತ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಂಬರೀಷ್ ಅವರು ಈಗ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ, ಬೇರೆ ಏನಕ್ಕೂ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಇದನ್ನ ಜನ ಆಗಲೇ ಏನೋ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇದೆ ಇದು ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಗೆ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ಥರ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅವ್ರು ಮೈಸೂರು ವಿಕ್ರಮ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ವಾಪಸ್ ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ಗೆ ಬರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. 15 ದಿವಸದಿಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಬಂದಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಮೈಸೂರು ವಿಕ್ರಮ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬೇರೆ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ಗೆ ಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಯಾಕೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ, ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆ ಫಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ಲಡ್ ಶುಗರು, ಫಾಸ್ಟಿಂಗಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ. ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ಕು ಇರೋಲ್ಲ, ಇದಿರೋಲ್ಲ, ತೊಂದರೆ ಇರೋಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಇದೆ, ಅವ್ರು ICUಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆನೇ ಅವ್ರು ಆಗಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ವಾರ್ಡಲ್ಲಷ್ಟೇ ಅಡ್ಮಿಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಾಳೆ ಮಧ್ಯಾಹ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸಾಯಂಕಾಲ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ಇದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಏನೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನನ್ನ ಜೊತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ICU ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿಸ್ಟ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಘು ಎನ್ ವಿಜಯ್ನೂ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಈಗೆಲ್ಲ ಚೆಕಪ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ನ್ಯೂರಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಘವೇಂದ್ರ, ಸುಧೀರ್ಪ ಎಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಏನೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಏನೇನೋ ಊಹಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎದುರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇರೋದೇನು ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರೋದು, ಅಂಬರೀಷ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನೂ ತೊಂದರೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರು ಭಾಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಫಾಲೋ ಅಪ್ಗೆ ಚೆಕಪ್ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Well, Ambi is expected to be discharged by this afternoon or evening. Ambarish is Amrish heading to the hospital last night had created fresh fears. He was accompanied by his wife, but now doctors as well as Amrish himself have assured that it is just a regular checkup to ensure that his health is on track. An armed group, Boko Haram, has claimed responsibility for the abduction of 276 schoolgirls during a raid in the village of Chibok in northeast Nigeria last month. The group has now said that it is selling the girls to bidders as brides. Some reports even say that the militants sold the girls for $12. Boko Haram allegedly stormed the all-girls secondary school, kidnapped the girls at gunpoint and loaded them onto trucks and disappeared into a remote area along the border with Cameroon. Boko Haram, now seen as the main security threat to Africa's leading energy producer, is growing bolder and extending its reach. The apparent lack of capability of the military to prevent the Chibok attack or rescue the abducted girls after 3 weeks has triggered angry protests in the northeast and in the capital Abuja. 53 of the girls managed to escape from the fighters who want to introduce Islamic law in the country, but 223 were still being held. The mass abduction and failure to rescue the girls, now in a 4th week of captivity, is a source of deep embarrassment to the Nigerian government, which is accused of insensitivity to the girls' plight and not doing enough to rescue them.
And you're disturbed. I said Western education should end.
Well, most of us associate circus with happy moments, but in Rhode Island in the US, a popular circus act turned into a shocking tragedy. 8 performers fell when the hair hang apparatus, which holds the performers by their hair while performing the human chandelier act, failed. The performers fell from between 25 to 35 feet. Many of those injured suffered broken bones and no spectators were hurt. The performers were among 11 people hospitalized with injuries related to the accident, of whom 2 are believed to be in a critical condition. We have all heard of elephant and deer sightings in the Banerghata National Park, but if you're planning a trip to the park anytime soon, here's a tiny little bundle of joy you wouldn't want to miss.
This 3-month-old elephant calf was found lost in a herd of buffaloes on the outskirts of Arnikal. The forest officials, who were informed by the villagers, decided to give it a home, and now the elephant has become a part of the family. Apart from spending most of the day lazing around, it also enjoys the attention from children and adults who have come here because of the summer holidays.
ಈಗ ಸಮ್ಮರ್ ಹಾಲಿಡೇಸ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಉದ್ಯಾನವನ ತೋರಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯ್ತಿದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾರ್ಕನ್ನು ನೋಡಿ. ಮಕ್ಕಳಂತೂ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿಪಟ್ಟು ಆನೆಯನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ, ಅದು ಬೇಬಿ ಆನೆ, ಸಣ್ಣ ಆನೆ ಮರಿಯನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿಪಟ್ಟು. ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಸಣ್ಣದಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಆನೆ ಮರಿಯನ್ನು ನೋಡಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದು ಚಿತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವಿ, ನೇರವಾಗಿ ನೋಡಿ ತುಂಬ ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು ನಮಗೆ.
It is currently in the care of forest officials who specialize in looking after elephants. They have conducted all medical tests and physical examinations to check its health, and there seems to be no problem with the little calf. The forest officials, though, have stated that it was slightly malnourished owing to the fact that it was abandoned by its herd. Another reason for the forest officials to be happy is that there have been lesser number of male elephants when compared to the female ones. They only have about 15 elephants in the Banerghata National Park. Wild elephant sightings itself is a rare occurrence for city-bred visitors who frequent the park. Seeing a playful baby elephant is definitely a joyous experience. Manjunath N, News 9, Arnikal.